Well, the Cruiserweights were doing everything they could to salvage these shows, and bless their heart for it. I'm John Retton with the Retro Review of WCW Thunder from March 7, 2001. Everything else was pretty mediocre. It's not even that it was bad, but nothing was really firing for WCW at this point. Any of the good stuff they were doing, it was just obvious the company was going out of business. I mean, yes, Jamie Kellner pulled the TV deal that Bischoff's group had and all that, so, it's a whole bunch of stuff to dive into on the final Nitro and stuff like that, because boy, that's going to be bittersweet to look at, considering that I still wanted the company to go on, but it was never going to be the same, so it was probably just better that it died, and there's a whole bunch of mixed emotions. Do you think WCW could have survived for another few years? Answers in the comments, please. So, yeah, this would have also been a great way to hook us for Greed, their final pay-per-view, fitting because of greed behind the scenes and greed from the wrestlers, ultimately basically bankrupting the goddamn company as far as fan base and money, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But no, they still had a Nitro and Thunder to go before we got to that pay-per-view, which actually wasn't all that bad, and at least the main event was a pretty good way to go out. As for this show, though, yeah, the Cruiserweights are pretty much what salvaged it from being one of the lesser Thunders, and imagine how low of a bar that is. Shivani and Tanay on commentary. We have Karagias and Shannon Moore versus Jason B. and Scotty O. And Jamie Noble was supposed to be part of this team, but nope, that didn't end up happening. Cruiserweight tag title quarterfinal match. Not bad, actually. I did like the pacing of this. And Jason B, he got to show off pretty good. He actually got to do some pretty good shit here. He did a sit down, like just on Moore. That was pretty good stuff. 450 for 2, leg drop off the top, pin Scotty 0-4-3. But a pretty good match, pretty good opener. And some good pace to it. And then here's Scott Steiner to talk about DDP being afraid of him. Says that he will use Miller as a warm-up because he wants to get at Ernest Cat Miller. Then here's Miller. They promo back and forth. I'm going down as the world champion of all time, Scott Steiner. Great promo. Great, best promo from Scott Steiner. DDP's in the crowd in a Three Stooges shirt, and then Rick Steiner tries to attack him, but Hugh Morris is like, oh, no, I'm going to get you. And then we have a brawl, and we have this, and this actually factors into the finish a little bit later. Norman Smiley versus Shawn Stasiak. Whoever thought this was a good idea? And it's nothing against Shawn Stasiak, nothing against Norman Smiley. This was not a good idea at all. Stasiak was more concerned with all of his autograph pictures, flying around. Norman Smiley almost beat him. And then this went on forever. Seriously, this went on a while. We get chokeslam variation 1, 2, 3. Don't understand why this match needed to go as long as it did. And also, the whole Glacier thing just seemed to have gotten dropped. So weird that they brought him back for absolutely no reason, because we're within the final couple weeks of WCW. He has done nothing of note except pose and say to Norman Smiley, "Ha, I saved you, ha." So weird. So anyway, he puts an autograph picture on his chest and then does a promo on the crowd calling him ugly because typical stuff. And then M.I. Smooth tries to get Kanyon to run off because Smooth was the one that tipped off Ernest Miller that Kanyon was going to do this stuff, basically implying he was going to assault Miss Jones in a goddamn hospital. Check out my Nitro review if you want to know what that's about, but it was uncomfortable. And then Smooth is in his limousine. He's about to get going. Kanyon just ran off like a minute ago, but they cut away and then they cut back to Kanyon taking a forklift and turning over the limousine. Where did he get the forklift? How did Smooth not notice where it was? Why was there a forklift just out in the parking lot in the middle of a rainstorm? Why the fuck was this happening? Why did they decide to destroy a limousine? I mean, granted, they probably could have fixed it because it was safely done, or at least as safely as you could tip a car over with a forklift. But my fucking God, this was stupid. So fucking bad. Smooth is saying, my neck, so that's a way to write him off, basically. And then Helms and the Dancing Girls. A couple of them look pretty nice. Skipper versus Helms, hey, at least they took it seriously. It was physical. They went outside, did some good dives, some great counters. These two could really go at this point. And shame about Skipper not really getting a lengthy career. He had about a 10-year career, but I'm just saying as far as his moments in TNA and some of the stuff that he did in later WCW, he should have meant a whole lot more and should be remembered a whole lot better than he is. Though, I mean, the cage walk, even though he was more than that, the cage walk will live on. That is something he could really hang his hat on. He should have been fucking bonus like about 20 grand for doing a spot like that. But Dixie wasn't always great about paying talents that actually fucking showed up to do their work. But anyway, Vertebreaker 1, 2, 3. So that's pretty much it. I mean, Helms doing some good stuff here, and it was what it was. Kid Romeo then attacks Helms. And then Kidman and Ray run them off because Skipper and Kid Romeo are going to take on Kidman and Ray in the finals of the tournament at Greed. Even though we don't know it's finals, it's pretty obvious the way they were doing this and the remaining teams that they were going to be angling for this. And they might as well have actually just had them compete over that. But it is what it is. I do love me a good tournament. So, Hugh Morris versus Rick Steiner. This match did not need to happen. There were a lot of rest holds, a lot of knee focus. Storm and Awesome kind of distract Hughes, and then we get Hugh Morris. Steiner driver 1, 2, 3. Awesome and Storm are run off by Conan later because he wants to watch his back. And they let Luger talk for reasons I will never goddamn understand. His shirt was too tight, Billy. If you get that, yeah, you fucking get how memeable Lex Luger was. It's not that Luger at his peak, or at least even like early on in his career, running with the U.S. Championship like in 89 to 91, was bad. Honestly, it was some of his best work because he was in with the right people and he was getting it. But by this point, he was ballooned up and he couldn't fucking work. Chuck Palumbo versus Lex Luger. Again, dreaded roll-up, the most devastating maneuver in all professional wrestling. Surprise roll-up 1, 2, 3. Palumbo gets the victory. Luger throws stuff around backstage because, again, his shirt was too tight, Billy. Conan then talks about Hugh Morris and locker room loyalty. They run down the greed card. The announcers, not Conan and Hugh Morris. That would have been weird. Storm does his usual promo. Conan attacks during the Canadian national anthem. And they had a match where Storm basically had to carry Conan. Not that Conan wasn't capable, but by this point, I don't blame Conan for not putting a ton of effort in. And they were talking about how Conan was going to release a rap album in the U.S. I don't know how well that did. I don't really care because I don't really like rap. But good on Conan for trying to do outside ventures. Maple Leaf taps out Conan. Hugh Morris comes in to save Conan afterwards. Booker T interview says pretty much the same things that he said before in other interviews. And that, he had injuries because of Scott Steiner and that he's going after Rick and then he's going to go after Scott. And then we get Ernest Miller versus Scott Steiner, where Scott basically dominates him. Miller tries to get in a few shots. Scott attacks him with a chair, and then Rick runs down Booker and him. It's a Booker to Rick, if you will. Boy, that was a fucking, callback. And then the recliner wins it. DDP attacks Scott, and then we get the melee of the crew running in. And DDP's locked in the recliner as we go to, black. You see what I meant by if they had closed it like that, it would have been a perfect hook for Greed. Oh no, DDP wasn't able to get away. Scott Steiner got him down, but maybe DDP can come back. No, we still got another week of TV. They know how to format this shit, and I don't understand it. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.